So welcome to today's video. In this video we are going to be recapping the 2039-2040 European campaign for us and Norwegian clubs, as well as looking at the winter transfers. There has been a few, and also the rest of the teams who were in Europe for Norwegian points qualification, whatever we're going to call it. So we are going to first look at our Champions League games that took place before Christmas, then look at the transfers, then look at the rest of the Champions League campaign, then the other clubs, etc. You get the gist of it by now. If you stumble across on today's video to this series, go and check out some of the other stuff and just have a play around on the channel, and you will catch up on this journey with Eggersons in this Builder Nation probably fairly quickly. So let's head over to the Football Manager screen. This is just an intro, you better believe it. Jesus, that was bad. Yep, welcome to the series. Okay, so you join us here looking at the Newcastle game. That was our first game on this. And it was Newcastle 3, Eggerson 3, with Fosdal, Evans and Samara on the score sheet. Really pleased with that. Samara getting the goal as well. Very smooth. That was followed up with a 5-0 victory over Fenerbahce, and 4 points out of 6 so far in the Champions League. And Samara on the score sheet again in Europe. Evans with 2, an own goal, and Lefebvre on the score sheet. 3 games in, 7 points, 3-2 over Atlanta. Evans, Samari and Bozic on the score sheet. We're looking quite good. Brought back down to earth when Real Madrid travelled over to Norway. Eggerson 0, Real Madrid 3. Bit disappointing. Oh, I thought the run was going to be nice. I honestly thought we could maybe look very good in Champions League this year. Marseille 5, Eggerson 1 to end this year. That's a complete lie. It didn't actually end the year, because we then played Gothenburg in Sweden and got 2-0 victory with Samare scoring both goals. And that did give us 10 points in Champions League group stage so far going into the winter transfer window. So let's go and have a look at our transfers before we do end looking at the final 2 group stage games of this Champions League campaign. So in terms of the outs, one of the outs to look at is Sebastian Hansen, who has actually retired after only half a season at Al Ittihad Kalba in the UAE. Quite disappointing that he ended up leaving us. He was with us from 2030, but he did go off. Very good goalkeeper for us, to be honest. When he was our first choice, did do really, really well. So we wish him well and wish him luck in retirement. Now, there was 3 people that appear on last year's list. So first off, we signed a new goalkeeper called Emil Matthias Jedseth Lingstad. Now he comes in from Rosenborg, and I'm really pleased with this signing. Only 17 years old, has a lot of potential to be a first choice keeper long term. Yeah, 850k, you just cannot go wrong with that. Although he does have an injury prone as one of his cons. Now the next player to look at for 2 million. He is a fullback who we are playing in central defence. You can see here so far this season he's played 4 games for us in central defence. So we picked him up for 2 million from Viking. So he is a local guy, and honestly I'm really, really pleased with him. Mentally fantastic, physically fairly good as well apart from his strength. He can be a wide centre-back, and he will be a very good wide centre-back. 2 caps for Norway as well. Then finally, another one of them shocks that you pick up for 16 years old, Even Janssen. I've still not fixed the face packs. I'd hands up apologise for that. And he's already started fairly well. Starting 5 games in the league, scoring 2. In all competitions, he scored 4 for so far this season. For 500,000, 16 years old, there is a lot of potential there. A lot of potential. Now, if we move on to this year's screen, you can see we lost quite a few players. So first off, one of our wide centre-backs in Dietmar Gerlin, the Austrian, who we signed a few years ago now. He was with us for 4 seasons. 7.5 million we paid. We ended up selling for 3.3. So that's a bit disappointing. Rises to 4.1, but still not that good. Alexandra Fillin has gone to Inter for rising at 10 million plus 50% the next sale. Signed from Rosenborg with only 7 goals in 32 games. I've decided to let him go. We do have 50% next sale on him as well. He was never developing. But the next one's the upsetting one. Mohamedou Samare has left us. 27 years old. He was with us for 8 seasons. He is our top goal scorer in the history of the club, but he's gone for $5.5 million to Cincinnati. A few players gone out on loan. Sina, Cruz, Mellin and Opoku, all to Junkeren, along with Simonsen. A player's gone out on free. Bergvolt we sold to Benfica for 1.2 plus 50% next sale. We only had him for a couple of years. He never looked good. When he went out on loan to Brand, didn't score a single goal. So we have ended up selling him 50% next sale as well in there. I think it's good business. The next player going to Atalanta is Barson. I wanted to keep him, but he wanted to be a key player if he signed a new contract. I don't even know where that's come from. He doesn't even deserve to be close to a key player. So we've ended up selling him for rises to 2.9 plus 50% next sale. And then a couple more loans there. So the only sign who showed up on this year's is Jose Villafanja. Now, he was signed for one reason. He's a goalkeeper. Well, 2 reasons then. He's a goalkeeper. And we didn't have a single goalkeeper in our under-19s going into the new season. So I'm sure you agree that we kind of needed to fix that. Not having a single goalkeeper in our youth team. So we paid $500,000 for him. And he has a lot of potential. He's on a very high wage. But you'd be shocked how many good quality goalkeepers are out there. I'll give you a clue. None. So we brought him in to be a youth team goalkeeper. If he develops, great. If not, let's hope we get one through the intake in the next couple of years. So as we continue our Champions League recap, we came up against Juventus in our first game after the winter break and got a 1-0 victory with Anthony Evans on the score sheet again for us. He has been really, really good. Then we finished our group stage campaign with a 2-0 defeat to Manchester City. But it's okay, we picked up some good points, 13 points in total, finishing in 11th place, only a couple of places out of that top 8. So I had a lot of faith going into the knockout rounds. The problem was we came up against Newcastle and decided that we didn't understand how to play football, and also we had a central defender sent off in the 26th minute. So with 10 men, we ended up going down 6-2 away from home. And unfortunately, in the second leg, a 1-0 defeat saw us crash out. Sometimes in these games, you really don't know how to react to it. We had a red card, like say, in the 26th minute of the first leg, and that almost ended our hopes of beating such a high-quality side as Newcastle. You can't go into these games and play most of the game with 10 men. You just can't do it, especially away from home. Their supporters get on them, keep motivating them, and yeah, 6-2 definitely wasn't fair, but 6-2 happened, and we couldn't turn it around. So that was us out of Europe, another European season, another European campaign over, but how did the other teams do in Europe? So the first team we're going to look at is Werder Glimt, who played in the Europa League group stage. And they came straight in there, and they looked really, really good here looking at this. So Dynamo Minsk, a 2-1 victory, a draw away to Sparta Prague, a defeat at home to Sociedad and then away to Besiktas before beating Aris and Maribor. So going into this year, they then lost to Lens, drawn at Trabzonspor. But sick of seeing Sevilla. They then came against Sevilla in the knockout round. Unfortunately, they were just too good. A 4-0 defeat on aggregate. But they did get to the knockout stage. So the next team we're going to look at is Odds, who came in Champions League qualifying. And they came up against AZ in Champions League qualifying. Unfortunately, after a 2-1 victory at home, went down 3-0 in Holland. And they were out and into the Europa League, where it looks okay. Trabzonspor 1-0 victory, defeats to Leipzig and Sevilla, before beating Karabag, drawn against PSV and beating Galatasaray. Moving into the next year, defeats to Brøndby and TSC saw them going to the playoff round. And again, coming up against a tough side in Rennes, lost 2-0, then 1-0, going out in the knockout rounds, 3-0 on aggregate. But again, another side into the knockout rounds. That's all three of us who we've checked so far, getting knockout rounds of European football. So Stabæk were the next team to look at, and they came in the Conference League 2 rounds from the group stage. Farense from Portugal, they came up against first, drawn away from home for beating them 3-2 at home. Then HJK from Finland, who they knocked out 2-1 away from home, another draw at home, so they look strong away. In the group stage, they played Shamrock Rovers, got a draw before back-to-back wins against Zurich and Ferencváros, before drawn to Celje and Tirana, before losing away to West Ham. They then came up in the knockout round against Ferencváros, where they beat them 2-all away from home for beating them 3-2 at home. But unfortunately, in the round of 16, I think it was, yes it was, they came up against Copenhagen and they were just too strong for them. 3-1 defeat at home, then 1-0 away, 4-1 on aggregate. But Stabæk getting to the last 16 of the Conference League, I'm fairly proud and pleased to see that. So the next team to look at is Viking Stavanger. After getting to the semi-finals of the Europa Conference League last year, they had a chance in the Europa League this year. And first off came up against Copenhagen in qualifying and knocked them out 3-2 on aggregate before coming up against St. Patrick in the playoff round of Ireland and getting beat. A 1-all draw away before losing at home to St. Patrick's. That's something they can't have happen again and again. So that saw them drop into the Conference League, and could they go as far again? First off, beating Ferencváros before losing to OB of Denmark. They then beat Shamrock Rovers 2-0 and Wolfsberger 3-0 before defeats to Vitesse and Voskia. That saw them come up against AEK of Greece in the playoff round, and they went out a 2-all draw away from home, again slipping up at home, exactly like the qualifying of the Europa League. So Viking Stavanger really let themselves down, only getting to the playoff round. So let's have a look, see how that has affected us. First off, our league has remained in 9th place. Us personally have dropped down 5 places to 30th in the European club rankings. And in terms of the club coefficients, we've actually dropped below Turkey now. You can see here we had a 12.4, Turkey had a 14.4, so they must have gone far. So currently, going in this season, we are going to be on the exact same amount of points to start with, 47.2. A couple of points ahead of Denmark. Now you can see in terms of qualification places, 8th and 9th have exactly the same. So if us and Turkey swap, that's okay, but we really do need to be chasing down Netherlands and Portugal, not battling with Turkey. So we really do hope for us and other teams to have a better season in Europe next year. So in terms of who did well and who won what, Milan got beat by Real Madrid in the final of the Champions League, so Spanish clubs back-to-back now have won that. In terms of the Europa League, Leipzig lost to Manchester United. So you can see 3 out of the last 4 have been English in the Europa League. And in the Conference League, West Ham beat Copenhagen to mean back-to-back English champions in that. So you've got to say fair play to them. I'm just curious, if we go stage-wise for last season, did a Turkish club reach the semi-finals there? No. Quarter-finals, maybe? Yeah, there was a Turkish club in the quarter-finals of the Conference League. In terms of the Europa League, I'm guessing somebody went far there. Nobody there. There was a Turkish club in the quarterfinals of the Europa League as well. I think that's where the extra couple of points came from. Them kind of runs. Now, the only thing left to look at is the youth intake, but we're not going to look at that because, again, it was another season of complete disappointment in that we only signed a couple of fillers, basically. None of them deserve to get shown because none of them are going to amount to anything, I don't think. But I want to thank you all for watching, continuing the sports series and being part of this journey with Egersons as we try to build up Norway as well as the Egerson team themselves. Hopefully, I will see you in the next episode where we recap the 2040 league campaign. And let me just tell you, the summer has been a very, very busy one so far.